wanted to come to you. I'm going to say good morning, good afternoon. I don't know where you are. But I really wanted to talk about the fact that so many people, white people, are triggered by the fact that I say, it's pinned to my Twitter profile. They are so offended by my definition of racism, which I didn't create. But more importantly, they're offended that I say that all whiteness is racist by default and racist by design and cannot be trusted by default without consistent demonstrated anti-racist behavior. This is the thing that really gets me, I could see being prickled by it. I can see being offended by it. But to argue as if it's not true is so telling. And this is why I'm coming to you, because I need the community to understand. It is not your job to convince or convert anyone, period. We don't need a majority. We need a strong enough minority of people who are causing a scene so that business leaders in tech see that we're following the guiding principles, which is 1, tech is not neutral. 2, what is the second one? Intention without strategy. Majority of people are not coming with this. They're gonna have to go into inclusion in tech and more improved spaces, kicking and screaming, and some of them will have to go. Period. I'm not here to convince or convert, but what I want to tell you, and this is what it came up last night, is there's a whole thread of rules, boundaries that I set for this community. And if you can't, as a white person, get past the very first one, that says so much about you, whatever person. This right here is just so funny. Yeah, I'm racist. Okay. That says so much and more about you than it does about me. Because Becky and Zach, and most of you, let's be honest, most of you, the most contact you've ever come in with people of color, period, particularly black people, is on social media. You don't live in their communities. Your kids don't go to their schools. You don't go to church with them. You do not have us in your communities. And yet you continue to act as if you know what our lived experiences are. And you don't. And so it's and yet you terrorize us every single day. Becky and Zach will call the police on a black or brown person with a heart, without thinking about it. You don't trust us by default, but yet we're supposed to trust you. This is where I need you to start thinking about that. So when someone challenges that, I start thinking, that's really interesting. Anti-blackness is the default. Anti-blackness is so the default that you don't ever challenge or question the fact that you do not trust black people, that you go in the other direction when you see them, you hold your purse, you call the police, you do all these things that we see every single day. But yet for me to say that whiteness is racist, and I'm not talking individual people, and this is what's funny to me, I'm talking about the system of white supremacy, whiteness as a construct, is racist by default. Racist by design, because that's what you've been born and bred to be. When I say I don't trust that by default, without consistent, this is the point. This is what people like this person who just said I was racist, without consistent anti-racist behavior. That's what it requires. It requires that. And so, it's just really telling. And I'm very happy that this person is archiving this on this video, because when you see this, you'll see what I'm talking about. You'll see the levels at which whiteness is so sensitive, is so fragile, and it cannot have a conversation about historically being a terrorizer of individuals, of being the terrorizers of indigenous people and black people in the United States, that it has to fundamentally shift and become, again, as I say to you, whiteness is always creating the narrative of either the hero or the victim. It's never the villain. Go back and look at any black and white cowboy picture. It always rides in with the white hat. It's always saving the white damsel in distress. And it's always coming to the aid of other white people while harming native populations or whatever. It's never the villain. It can always shift the narrative so that it's never the villain. So I just wanted to just have that conversation because I just need you to be aware of what's going on, because if you can't get past that one thing to see a whole thread of other things, it's so telling. And again, whiteness has never been evaluated. Whiteness is anti-black by default, but you never see people question the fact that they don't trust black people. You never hear people in their white communities talk about, why is it that we don't fundamentally trust black people? No one's talking about that. But when I say I don't trust whiteness by default without consistent anti-racist behavior, then I'm the bad guy or we're the bad guy. So I need you to think about that. And also I want to say this little caveat. For those who are reading or who are sharing White Fragility, please know that is a kindergarten level book. That is a book that helps slowly move your white feelings, your discomfort into a space that we can actually talk about getting the work done. White Fragility is not for you to say, you know everything, because you don't. You, as a white person, do not have the lived experiences of people of marginalized communities. And so you can never know what we're experiencing. All you can do is hear us. I don't want you to empathize because you can't do that. But I just really want, because I caution that. White studies centers whiteness. White fragility centers whiteness. And we need to get away from centering whiteness in order to prioritize the most vulnerable. So have a great day. Goodbye.